Welcome. In this unit, we're going to be discussing organizing for women's ministry, or how should we staff for our women's ministry. Well, the first consideration would be to decide who will lead the ministry. Will your ministry be led by one specific women's ministry director, whether that woman is a paid staff member or a volunteer staff member? Or will you be led by a women's ministry council, where you have a team of women who come together to make decisions for the ministry? And even with a team approach, you may have a leader, or you may have co-leaders. You may have two women who are the leaders of your women's ministry team. And then, of course, you'll have lots of volunteer workers who you will want to enlist to be involved with the ministry, whether they're on the council or not. Or you may have subcommittees beyond your council. As women are dividing up responsibilities for different events, they may enlist their own team for those specific areas. But you want to consider, if you have a volunteer leadership team, that you have one person who specifically will be your staff liaison, who can help go between the staff and your team so that there's clear communication on both sides, because you want to be sure that you include your church staff and the leadership at your church on all of the opportunities and decisions that are involved in planning and executing your women's ministry. And then I would encourage you to enlist the support of your pastor's wife or the staff wives. They do not necessarily have to be in charge of the women's ministry unless they feel called to do so, certainly, but you want to be sure that you include them, that you communicate with them events that you have coming up, and that you ask them to pray and be involved as much as they feel led to do so. Typically in Southern Baptist churches with women's ministry, we've had several different arms. You have your missions arm led by the Women's Missionary Union, and then you have evangelistic arm led by the North American Mission Board, and of course Lifeway Christian Resources leads the enrichment arm of those opportunities for women in women's ministry. And then there can be different models for how you organize the women's ministry in your church, whether it falls under the educational ministry or directly under the leadership of the pastor, depending on your church size and how your organizational structure is set up. And then, of course, in some churches you may still have a women's missionary union that meets as well, or some type of women's mission group, and so you want to determine whether or not those ministries will work side by side, whether one ministry kind of leads the way for the other ministry, or how you would have those staff organization opportunities set up. Well, the models that you choose for your women's ministry should complement the total church program. It should help you organize in such a way that the gifts of women are able to be used in ministry in your church and include variety of activities. And you want to be sure that your women's ministry is focusing on both spiritual growth and evangelism opportunities. In your women's ministry, you may have opportunities that are primarily including women in your church of all ages and stages. You want to be sure you include all women in your church. As we talked about in the unit on generations in women's ministry, very soon we'll be having 5 generations of women who would be able to be involved in your women's ministry. And then, of course, you want to provide opportunities for ladies of the community to come and be involved as well, so that you can reach out to your community and share Christ with other women. You want to consider where your programs might be occurring, whether it's at your church, what is the setting for your church, the community, the neighborhood surrounding it, what is the geography of the area, what facilities does your church have that you can utilize, or what facilities may be available in the nearby community that could be used for different events and so forth. And then you want to consider the timing of your programs. That would be based on your church size, the age of the church, whether or not daytime or nighttime works better, and then the time restraints that you may have within the overall calendar of the church. Some typical programs that you would find in women's ministry might include Bible study, prayer. You might have fellowship opportunities, special events. You may have support groups where women come together and encourage one another on a specific area of life or topic that's going on in their lives. You may have recreation opportunities for women to come together and just play and enjoy perhaps sports or crafts or different things like that. And then you also want to have some mission opportunities, whether that's community ministries, whether that's supporting national or international missions within what is happening at your church, and you may have specific opportunities just for women. And then, of course, mentoring ministry. You want to be sure that you offer opportunities for ladies to connect with one another. So those are some of the programs that you might want to include in your women's ministry, and some different ideas for how to organize for your women's ministry.